What is just a placebo effect, but most people don't realize? Story 1. I was playing a game on hard mode, and it felt brutally punishing, so I switched it back to normal. Instantly, everything felt easier and more enjoyable. Combat felt fair, progress felt smoother, and I was relieved. After I finished the game, I realized I had never actually saved the difficulty change. I'd been on hard mode the entire time. The only thing that changed was my belief that it had become easier, and that belief genuinely improved my experience. Someone else shared a similar story. They spent a long time adjusting sensitivity, FOV, and dead zones in a game. When they jumped back in, everything felt smoother, aim improved, movement felt natural. Later they checked the settings and realized none of the changes had been saved. The improvement was entirely psychological. Story 2. I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I remember that simply knowing the liquor store would open soon was enough to slightly ease my withdrawal symptoms. Not completely, but noticeably. That same mechanism shows up elsewhere. When I was trying to lose weight, I read advice about postponing cravings instead of fighting them. If I wanted junk food at 7 p.m., I tell myself, I'll have it in an hour. That sense of permission made the craving fade within minutes, and by the time an hour passed, I often didn't want it anymore. Just knowing relief is coming can be enough. Story 3. I worked at a kid's birthday party place in high school. Kids would cry constantly after minor bumps or falls. Nothing serious. We'd ask them to wiggle their foot, jump in a circle, or blow on their hand to make it better. It worked almost every time. Bandages were even more effective. Once the kid believed they were fixed, they were immediately fine and back to playing. Story 4. I had migraines for years. When they worsened in my late 20s, I finally got medication. The meds worked, but something unexpected happened. Just knowing I had treatment in my pocket drastically reduced how often I got migraines. Feeling prepared and in control lowered my anxiety, which seemed to prevent headaches altogether. The meds weren't designed to work that way, but the effect was real. For me, it was almost entirely placebo, and it worked. Story 5. In the UK, there's a folk remedy for nettle stings, rubbing dock leaves on the skin. There's very little scientific evidence that dock leaves actually help, but searching for the leaves distracts you from the pain, and believing it will work is comforting. The sting fades quickly anyway, and the ritual gives the illusion of relief, which feels like relief. Story 6. Just placebo is a misunderstanding. The placebo effect is well researched and powerful. Placebo-controlled studies don't test treatment versus nothing. They test whether a treatment works better than the body's own ability to heal when it believes it can. Placebo isn't fake healing. It's belief triggering real physiological changes. Story 7. Period pain relief often works better when it's marketed specifically for menstruation, even when it's chemically identical to generic paracetamol. The branding, higher price, and "this is made for you" messaging all increase effectiveness, not because the drug is different, but because expectation changes perception. Story 8. People say things like, "Whiskey makes me angry, but vodka makes me happy." That's mostly nonsense. Alcohol is alcohol. The effects depend on dose, speed of absorption, mood, and personality, not the type of drink. That said, we still don't fully understand how the body and brain work. Minor compounds, gut bacteria, or absorption differences might play small roles. The microbiome alone could change how substances affect us short term. It's not magic, just incomplete science. Story 9. A common mistake is thinking that if something works, it can't be a placebo. That's backwards. A placebo works by definition. The key factor isn't whether it helps, it's why it helps. People get defensive when something they believe in is called a placebo, as if it implies stupidity. It doesn't. Placebos affect everyone. Intelligence has nothing to do with it. If a placebo works for you, that's incredible. You've found something effective, free, and side effect free. That's not embarrassing. That's a win. Story 10. Expensive products often feel like they work better simply because they're expensive. Skincare, perfume, wine, supplements, expectation changes perception. That said, price can matter in some areas. Tools, clothing, and equipment often cost more because they last longer or perform better. Expensive doesn't guarantee quality, but genuine quality usually isn't cheap. Both things can be true at the same time. Story 11. Many things may have a root in the placebo effect, but that absolutely doesn't mean it's worthless or useless. A placebo component can absolutely be real and useful because it reflects measurable mind, brain, and body responses to context that can change symptoms and even some physiology. Modern reviews describe placebo effects as genuine psychobiological events with identifiable neurochemical pathways like endogenous opioids, dopamine, and brain network changes, not imagined benefits. Story 12. There are a lot of them, just like nocebo effects. However, I do have a comment on placebo effects and those that take advantage of many by taking their money and essentially selling them a product that does nothing, or they magically manipulate whatever to make them feel better. In my books, if someone pays a chiro $80 every 2 weeks in order to relieve their back pain, and the person truly believes and feels pain relief, then it is not fully lost money. Often, the real medication solution costs more and can take longer to be effective. If the patient truly feels better, then at the core of it, it does not matter if they are getting scammed, to a limit of course. Story 13. Just hearing the sound of your mother's voice can take the pain away. My daughter swears by this. She'll call when she has cramps and insists hearing my voice makes the pain go away. There's an episode of Science Friday that explains it better. That, and nursing your baby releases dopamine so you feel like a duck sitting on eggs. It rewards you for feeding the baby. Just the sound of a baby crying will set off a nursing mom. Story 14. Smoking doesn't relax you. Taking deep breaths does. It actually does relax you because you take away the withdrawal effects you are feeling. With that said, it only relaxes you because your baseline stress is higher. I read a stop smoking book, and it likened the relaxing feeling you get from smoking to the relief you get after taking off really tight shoes you've worn for a long time. So the relief and relaxation is real, but it is also the cause of the stress you need relief from. Story 15. Employment. You get up every morning and go to someone else's business, create something for someone else to use, destroy or sell, so you can have a tiny bit of money to buy some bread, to get the strength to go back to work the following day, and repeat the process. You think you are actually free, living a life worth living, but in reality you are being exploited. Part of you is disappearing every day. As time goes on, you are losing strength and need more money as interest rates and inflation cause prices to go up. All the while you think you are doing someone important for the world or for your world, but it is all meaningless when put into perspective. Soon, there is nothing left of you, and you are a drone for the system that simply uses you like a battery. Story 16. The closed door buttons on elevators, as well as many crosswalk buttons. Some don't do anything. Others are only actually affecting the traffic cycle late at night. The issue is that some definitely do make a difference, so it's only a placebo sometimes. There's one elevator door in my building that without pushing the button, you're waiting a solid 6 seconds before the door starts closing. And there's some crosswalks that if you don't press it, they literally don't change unless a car approaches that intersection. Story 17. When people quickly feel awakened by coffee's Citric espresso, takes a while for caffeine to affect you, and even then, works differently from stimulants that grant wakefulness. Caffeine blocks neurotransmitters that make you drowsy, and any liveliness one feels is generally from the adrenaline and cortisol. You may consequently get a surge of if your tolerance is too low for the dose. Any immediate rush is either from the taste smell. Many people can experience the adrenaline response the moment they smell coffee, or placebo effect. Story 18. Most things. I love the placebo effect. Did you know it can even work when people know that they're being given a placebo? Also, look into expectation bias and regression to the mean. Expectation bias. People expect something to work, and funnily enough, they'll experience an effect, so ties very closely to placebo. Regression to the mean. I think a famous example is the Sports Illustrated curse, where elite sports people suddenly get a lot worse after appearing on the cover of SI, but people only appear on it at the very top of their game, so they inevitably are just going back to their average performance level. The same thing can be applied to a lot of medical treatments, particularly alternative, woo-woo treatments. People only go to get treatment at the very worst of an illness, so at the very worst, they tend to get better anyway. But because they had the treatments, they think that's what cured them. Humans are easily fooled, pattern-seeking animals. Story 19. A lot of wall thermostats in commercial buildings make it seem like you can control the temperature, but actually they just make you think you can. The temperature is often controlled by a central computer, and only the building superintendent or someone in a similar role can adjust that. But people are way happier when they think they're controlling the heat, and they'll insist they can feel the difference after they adjust the dummy thermostat. For what it's worth, most of those thermostats serve as temperature sensors for the energy building management system, so they do serve an actual purpose beyond granting a false sense of control. But yeah, no commercial or institutional building of significant size is allowing randos to have any type of control over the HVAC plant, when a lot of them pay a full-time staff of engineers to monitor and maintain the equipment. Some needy, selfish jerk would crank the heat up to a temperature unbearably high for everyone else, instead of putting on a sweater or set the AC to a temperature below the dew point and cause mold issues from condensation. Fog forming can be a legitimate issue in high rises. Signed, one of the people they pay to monitor and control one of those EMS, BMS computers you mentioned. Story 20. Most vitamins or supplements. If you're healthy and already getting the nutrients you need from your diet, they do literally nothing for you. Your doctor might recommend them if you're deficient or have some health condition, but that's not the same thing. Likewise, taking vitamin C. There is some evidence that it can shorten the duration of a cold, but only if you start taking it before starting to show symptoms, at which point it's too late, and taking it will do nothing to shorten the amount of time that you're sick. Story 21. Absolutely every kind of alternative medicine, without exception. If that were true, we wouldn't have medical advancements. All experimental medicines are alternatives, until they are proven scientifically to work. There are a hell of a lot of alternative medical practices that mainstream medicine embraces because it works, even though there aren't scientific studies backing it up. Yet, any off-label drug use prescribed by doctors is an alternative from scientifically backed use. We accept this because even though sometimes it causes problems, overall, we see a lot of growth in medicine, and we benefit from it. Story 22. Placebo is a word that has kinda become a placeholder for multiple things, but the actual definition is really pertaining to drug trials. If we're talking about the slang version of placebo, I think there are a few types. Conditioning. If you go to the beach every time you take vacation, you might think the beach relaxes you, when really it is taking a vacation in general and relaxing without pressure. Networking placebo. If everyone else says something has an effect, like essential oils or something, you might swear it totally works. Cognitive placebo. If you believe in something, you will receive benefits. Sometimes placebo patients in drug trials still experience unexplained benefits because they thought they were receiving the drug. Anyway, one interesting one I learned recently was sleep quality. If people are told they had a good night's sleep, they will actually perform better on cognitive tests. I think this is interesting because of the rise of smartwatches and stuff that tell you how you slept. They could be influencing you more than you think. Story 23. Oh my god, this is such a fun one to think about. Honestly, one huge placebo effect people don't realize is luxury, or expensive products actually making them feel better just because they think they better. Like, you buy a $50 face cream or a fancy supplement, and suddenly your skin looks better, you feel more energized, or your mood lifts. But a lot of the time, your body is just responding to the idea that you're doing something special for yourself. The product itself might literally be doing nothing at all. Another one is power posing or fake it till you make it confidence tricks. People feel more confident after standing tall or repeating affirmations, not because anything physically changed, but because their brain believes it did. It's wild how our minds literally trick our bodies into reacting. Story 24, people who are allergic to MSG and, to a lesser degree, moyo, egg. A lot of them don't feel it if they don't know, but then feel sick once they find out. I took my mom, who typically doesn't like Chinese food because MSG makes her sick, to my friend S restaurant, which is one of the best dim sum restaurants in Seattle. She absolutely loved the food and kept asking for more walnut shrimp, which has mayo. I didn't say anything. I don't know if they use MSG, but they probably do. She loved the food and couldn't stop talking about it. 1 week later, I asked her if she wanted to try making some walnut shrimp at home, and she got excited. I then showed the recipe, and she claimed it made her sick, and she didn't want to make it anymore. Story 25. SSRIs are not even clinically more significant than placebos, just very slightly more effective in a way that is fully explained by the side effects being so noticeable that it makes the placebo effect stronger. The chemical brain imbalance theory is marketing that has since been fully disproven. It's awful how they get given to everyone for practically every mental struggle, and they get pushed on you hard. Every doctor you visit gets asked again, even if depression is no longer your diagnosis, even if the side effects were severe and unbearable for you. They have this attitude of, oh, it's just a crazy person who doesn't want to take his pills. They tell you to just spend another few months on them, even though before they said the side effects would have already gone away by now. They don't believe it causes lasting ED problems in people because it's so rare, while also disbelieving anyone who reports that side effect. I really wish someone had warned young me of the brain zaps and ED, explained how tiny the benefit of SSRIs compared to placebos is supposed to be, and instead got me into a proper diagnosis and therapy regimen. I wasn't even depressed, just traumatized and neurodivergent. Story 26. Hardcore drunk experience on one spirit chalk type of alcohol. Many people will have some bad experience with alcohol between 14 and 25 where they overdrink for the first time. Most. I realize it was their decision making and the general effect of alcohol, but a lot will identify that alcohol type as somehow more lethal. You hear, oh, I love vodka, but don't give me any gin. That stuff wrecks ya. I can't drink wine, it just hits different. Give me a beer and shot of scotch, please. Then, 10 shots of 151, or green chartreuse for the boys, me. Do you want to maybe ease up and have 10 shots of tequila? Them, oh no, we can't drink tequila, things get messy. Me, shocking. Now don't get me wrong, there is a paradigm of getting food poisoning and then just not liking that product because it caused that memory, and this I never judge, but some people will authentically tell you it is their firm belief that that bad experience wasn't a bad decision, but a learning lesson that some subcategory somehow has a different effect on them compared to another spirit or wine or whatever of the exact same or sometimes higher alcohol content products. Always annoyed me. Story 27. Motivational quotes actually helping. I used to save motivational quotes like they were life-altering wisdom. Turns out, they just gave me a temporary emotional sugar rush. You read something like, you are capable of greatness, feel hyped for 10 minutes, then do absolutely nothing differently. The quote didn't change your habits, it just made you feel like progress happened. The brain loves shortcuts. Feeling inspired feels similar to actually improving, so it checks the box and moves on. That's why people binge motivation instead of building systems. The placebo isn't you to the quote, it ye as the belief that reading it counts as action. Story 28. Energy drinks hitting instantly. Ever notice how you feel energized immediately after the first sip? Caffeine doesn't even work that fast. What's really happening is your brain going, oh, this is the thing that makes me alert. Branding, taste, ritual, all of it primes your nervous system. Your body releases adrenaline before the chemical even kicks in. I once drank a caffeine-free energy drink, and still felt wired because I expected to. The crash later is real too, partly because your brain expects that as well. Half the addiction isn't the caffeine, it's the belief you need it to function. Story 29. Cold showers turning you into a beast. Cold showers don't magically make you disciplined, they just suck. But because they suck, people attach meaning to them. I did something uncomfortable, therefore I am strong. That belief boosts confidence and self-image for a bit. If cold showers truly built discipline, people who grew up without hot water would be unstoppable gods. The real benefit is psychological. You prove something to yourself. That proof could come from anything hard. Cold water just happens to be a dramatic ritual that feels profound. Story 30. Feeling healthier immediately after clean eating. People swear they feel better the same day they start eating clean. That's not your cells regenerating. That's your brain relaxing. You feel virtuous, in control, and less guilty, which lowers stress. Lower stress, feeling better. The body didn't change overnight, your interpretation did. Also, once you believe something is healthy, you actively look for proof it's working. Placebo plus confirmation bias is powerful. Long-term nutrition matters, but the instant glow people describe is mostly mental. Story 31. Detoxes, cleansing your body. Every detox I've seen works the same way. Drink weird stuff, eat less, feel crappy, then feel clean. Your liver already does detoxing 24/7. The feeling people describe is mostly from dehydration, calorie restriction, and expectation. Any discomfort gets rebranded as toxins leaving. It's genius marketing. The placebo effect turns suffering into proof that it's working. If someone told you the same symptoms meant damage, you'd panic instead. Story 32. New planners fixing productivity. Nothing makes me feel productive like buying a new notebook. For about 3 days. It's not the planner, it's the symbolic reset. This is the new me. The brain loves fresh starts. Motivation spikes because you believe change is happening. Then reality kicks in, novelty fades, and the planner joins the graveyard. The tool didn't fail. The placebo wore off. Story 33. Being told you're talented, being labeled gifted changes how people perform. Not because of magic genes, but because expectations shift. You try harder, panic less, and interpret failure differently. Mistakes don't mean I suck, they mean I'm learning. That mindset produces better results, which then prove the talent. It's a feedback loop powered by belief. The placebo here isn't fake, it's just misunderstood. Story 34. Certain clothes giving confidence. Ever notice how you feel more capable in a specific outfit? It's not the fabric, it's the identity you attach to it. I look like someone who knows what they're doing. That belief changes how you speak, move, and take risks. People respond differently, reinforcing it. The confidence feels real because it becomes real, but it started in your head. Without belief, it's just cloth. Story 35. Standing up straight, fixing confidence. Posture helps how others see you, sure, but the internal confidence boost comes from belief. You've been told, stand tall, confidence. So when you do it, your brain follows the script. Your breathing changes, your voice changes, and suddenly you feel different. The spine didn't fix your self-esteem, your expectations did. If posture alone created confidence, mannequins would be unstoppable.